Breaking news, the U.S. Supreme Court has announced it will now weigh in on California's failed approach to homelessness. We'll tell you what's going on. We also have a crazy proposal from California Democrats to pay out reparations this year to African Americans, even though the state budget faces $68 billion in deficits, and they're proposing tax increases on you. All that and more coming up on Reform California. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and we got a lot of news to get to today. Let's start right out. We're going to get to the Supreme Court development on homelessness in a moment. Let's start right out with the crazy idea that's now been put forward by California Democrats in Sacramento. They want to go revisit all those harebrained, crazy crackpot suggestions that somehow we should be paying out reparations in California to anyone with the right skin color. Now, mind you, we covered this last year when the Reparations Commission issued its report calling for billions and billions and billions of dollars of payouts to African Americans or anyone who has the right skin color, who identifies as having the right skin color. And at the time I said, not only is this illegal, but it's financially just completely unsustainable. We thought we were going to move past that proposal, but no, we've got Assembly Member Reggie Jackson Sawyer. The guys with the three names always confuse me. Reggie Jackson Sawyer, an Assembly member, Democrat. He says that he wants to revisit the Reparation Commission's recommendations, and he wants to fight to put payouts in the state budget this year for people with the right skin color. Again, offensive and completely lunatic. California entered the Union as a free state. We've never had slavery. Anyone who's owned a slave, long gone and dead. So why are we, the remaining people, being forced to pay out and raise our taxes and do with less services so that others can get payouts who were never slaves? So we want people who never owned slaves to have higher cost of living and sacrifice, so that people who never were slaves get some sort of benefit. It's just insane. It's racist on its face. It's divisive. And it's designed by Democrats to fan the flames of racial discord, because they know that, African Americans are going to sit there and say, ooh, good, free money for me. I'm a victim. I've been told by the media I'm a victim. I've been told by politicians I'm a victim. And then, of course, reality sets in, and the courts have to weigh in and say, no, you can't do this, so that Democrats get to blame another racial group, Caucasians, for not wanting to pay what is owed to people with the right skin color. Again, this is a sham. It is foul. It is divisive. It's also illegal. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that you cannot give race-based payouts to people. It says that there's a number of court cases on this, and we've covered it in previous episodes of our podcast here. The U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly struck down any race-based payout programs. The one time the U.S. Supreme Court allowed it to happen was in 1988, where Ronald Reagan signed into law a bill that gave payouts to Japanese Americans who were interned in camps by Democrat President Franklin Roosevelt during World War II. The requirement, though, that the Supreme Court imposed is that you can't just say Japanese people get this payout or descendants of people who were in the camps. The Supreme Court said you can only have government give the payouts to the injured party, directly injured, that the person themselves had to have been the injured party. And so the Supreme Court said if there's a Japanese American still living today who was in a camp, they would then receive a payment. The payment at the time, by the way, was $20,000 per Japanese American who was actually put into a camp during World War II by Democrat President Franklin Roosevelt. That indexed for inflation would be about $55,000 today. But what the Reparations Commission of California has proposed are billions of dollars of payouts, hundreds of thousands of dollars for each person with the right skin color, to people who never were slaves. So we're talking about people who were actually in camps that got about $55,000 in today's money versus hundreds of thousands of dollars. The proposal started at $150,000. It went all the way up to $500,000, based upon some bizarre kabuki dance, sliding scale of aggrieved, injuries and victim definitions. It's so offensive. It's offensive to Japanese Americans who were given a relatively modest payout for injury they directly had to bear as a result of a Democrat president who, frankly, was wrong on this issue. It was a very sad chapter in our American history. So legally, the Supreme Court won't allow reparations. But here comes Assemblymember Reggie Jackson Sawyer, and he says that we need to put these reparations, as many as possible, in this year's budget, the 2024 California state budget. The state budget that's $68 billion in deficit. The same Democrats who are saying that we need to raise your taxes in a variety of ways, starting with gutting Prop 13 this year. Yeah, they want to raise your taxes and they want to cut your services. And then they want to add this reparations giveaway, illegal reparations giveaway in the state budget. It is absolutely insane. Speaking of racism, this crazy bill is back that's trying to ban the use of canine dogs by police officers because the canine dogs clearly are racist. Again, we covered this absurd proposal last year when the bill originally was introduced. It's now being reintroduced by Assemblymember Corey Jackson, Democrat, Los Angeles County. And he would end the use of canine dogs for arrest, apprehension, and crowd control. It's Assembly Bill 742. Now, let me just tell you that canine dogs are not racist. In fact, canine dogs are quite helpful in reducing use of force because, the studies have shown when an officer has a dog and confronts a suspect, the use of force, deadly force or physical force is much less because, surprise, surprise, the criminals or the suspects comply with the officer's commands more often when there's a canine dog involved. Imagine that. So it's good for reducing lethal force. But here you have Corey Jackson with Assembly Bill 742 trying to take away this important, helpful tool. And what will happen if this goes into effect? And I suspect eventually these crackpot Democrats are going to, again, get all lathered up by, perceived racism or allegations of racism, false allegations. And they're going to ban these dogs. And what's going to happen? Criminals will get away, or use of force will be increased. And then these same Democrats who took away a less than lethal force tool from police officers will blame police officers for being brutes. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's the California Democrat way. These people are absolutely offensive. They're not just dumb. They're absolutely bad. They're bad apples. And Assemblymember Corey Jackson doesn't care about public safety. He just wants to basically be a toxic force for dividing us based upon skin color, fomenting hate, dividing us along racial lines. I find it completely offensive. The guy is absolutely illegitimate. So we need to fight this bill in the California State Legislature. By the way, this is a reminder. I need you to jump on that website, reformcalifornia.org. What we do to fight bad bills like the reparation proposals, Assembly Bill 742, to ban canine dogs, is we shake up the legislature. We are trying to get better people elected to the state assembly and state senate. And our most powerful weapon is recruiting, training, mentoring, and supporting candidates who are reform-minded across the state of California. And this year, our Reform California Voter Guide is going to be the most important tool we have to elect good people to office. So I urge you, go online, reformcalifornia.org, and chip in a contribution. Check out our voter guide. It is online already for the March 2024 primary. And you click under voter guide and you'll find a voter guide by the big counties in the state, as well as the statewide voter guide as well. It's a plain English voter guide. It tells you everything you need to know, and it contains all of our candidate endorsements. So chip in a contribution. Check out that voter guide. I want to cover one last thing, and that is the U.S. Supreme Court will be taking up a very flawed lower court decision that was handed down in a federal court It's Grants Pass versus Johnson. It would limit local government's ability to clear homeless encampments. The Supreme Court is now going to review the judgment, which limited, again, local government's abilities. I've always said California and the flawed homeless policies out here are not just the result of bad judge policies or rulings. The bad judge rulings clearly are part of it. But remember, nationwide, states have reduced homelessness by double digits, whereas it's gone up by double digits in California. And all those other states, they're federal states as well. They have to live with court rulings as flawed as we do. The big problem or the big difference in California is that we coddle the homeless. We don't enforce rules. We don't have law enforcement empowered to use the courts to join with social service agencies to compel people to take treatment on substance abuse issues and mental health, which are the 80% drivers of homelessness. And so, yes, you can get a better ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. But at the end of the day, if we don't change other bad policies in California that the liberal Democrats have put into place, we won't make progress on homelessness. And so I really am optimistic about this development, that the Supreme Court may weigh in a favorable way and give us more authorities, more flexibility. But mind you, even with more flexibilities, California won't do what other states are doing to solve the homeless crisis. If you want to help us out on that front, we have a website, cleanupOurStreets.org. CleanupOurStreets.org. It's where we oppose Governor Gavin Newsom's latest doubling and tripling down approach on homelessness, on his failed policies of homelessness. We are urging a no vote on Prop 1, which would raid homeless treatment programs for mental health issues and give the dollars to rich developers to build government subsidized housing projects. This is crazy. It doubles and triples down on failed homeless policies, and we are urging a no vote. So check out that website, cleanupOurStreets.org, chip in a contribution to that fight because we need to defeat Proposition 1. There's a lot of great arguments on that site for you to share it with friends and family. All right, those are my 3 topics for today. Every day we bring you the news about California politics, what's going on, without the liberal bend of the media. If you want to help us out, like and subscribe to this channel so you get our daily updates. We post our show every day at 5 o'clock. And like this video, share it, and comment in the section below. It helps us goose the algorithm to get it spread out to more and more voters around the state. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.